What's up, guys? It's Susie from Hey Grill Hey, and one question I get all of the time is, can I do this in a crock pot? And I've never been able to answer that because I didn't own a crock pot. But I got one for us today, and we're gonna do some baby back ribs side by side. Crock pot versus smoker, the ultimate backyard to indoor kitchen showdown. Let's do it. I got 2 racks of baby back ribs. I got one going in a crock pot on low, one going on a smoker at 225. I'm gonna prep them the same way, okay? They're both getting trimmed up a little bit, seasoned with sweet rub, and cooked. At the end, we're gonna hit them with some barbecue sauce. Keep it simple so we really get to taste the difference in texture and flavor between these 2 cooking methods. Now, obviously, I'm seasoning these guys with the Hey Grill Hey rib rub because it's delicious. You can grab this at store.heygrillhey.com or on my website. We're also gonna be using my everything barbecue sauce. Again, there's a recipe on my website, or you can use your favorite barbecue seasoning and your favorite barbecue sauce. Ribs are prepped. These guys, this one gets chosen, the lucky crock pot rack of ribs. Now you can cut these into pieces. What I like to do, I don't actually know what I like to do because I'm not a real crock pot rib cooker. I'm not a pro here, but I consulted some professionals and they put them in this way, meat side out, bone side in, cover them up. You can also add liquid to this. I feel like that gives you much to like how you would wrap ribs and braise them. If you add some apple juice, it'll give you a much softer rib. But I want to really compare textures here and technique, and I want it to be the same level of ease on both of them. So pellet smoker, put them on, set it and forget it. Crock pot ribs, get them in, set it and forget it. Now, one thing that I love about crock pots and smokers is when you read a recipe for a crock pot or a smoker and somebody talks about how long it's going to take, they'll give you like a range. So baby back ribs on low in the crock pot, plan 4 to 6 hours. Same thing with the ribs on the smoker. We don't know exactly how long they're gonna take, but they'll probably be in that 4 to 6 hour range. So while these guys are rolling, let's talk about crock pots versus smokers. Now, like I said, I had to borrow a crock pot for this video because I haven't owned one in probably 8 years. I have learned that basically anything you can do in a crock pot, you can do in a smoker, but I think it tastes better. So the principles of crock pot cooking and low and slow barbecue are almost identical. Bigger cuts of meat, more affordable, lots of connective tissue. These tight, heavily used cuts of meat are really perfect for low and slow cooking. So if it's a classic barbecue cut, if you're thinking brisket, if you're thinking chuck roast, if you're thinking ribs, if you're thinking pulled pork, you can do it in a crock pot. I think it's better suited for the smoker. Most recipes that call for barbecue in a crock pot use this little secret ingredient right here called liquid smoke, because there is no way that you can actually replicate the smoked flavor of traditional barbecue in a crock pot unless you use, pantry's little helper, but it doesn't actually taste anything like real barbecue. Now, the crock pot does have its uses. I actually think it's great for low and slow chilies. When we did have a crock pot, this is how I used to make my bone broth because I could put all of my chicken parts in there, cover it with liquid, let it cook for 24 hours and not have to babysit it. If you're somebody that is busy or not at home and you want to do a low and slow cook, a crock pot is something you definitely don't have to babysit. You'll just sacrifice that classic barbecue flavor. Crock pot ribs, smoker ribs have been on for the exact same amount of time. We're clocking about 5 hours. Temperature is reading right around 200 degrees for both of these. Now you can see in our crock pot ribs, they're actually looking pretty decent. There's a good amount of moisture in the bottom of the crock pot. So there's crock pot ribs, option number 1. First blush with these ribs is looking at the appearance, right? So we know they're cooked to the same temperature, same amount of time. We should have pretty similar, texture, consistency inside. But the color is wildly different between these 2 racks of ribs. Now the seasoning has some smoked paprika, which gives it some nice redness. So we are getting decent color on these ribs, but it's nothing quite like our beautiful smoked ribs here with that nice mahogany bark and split finish. And the pink kind of rosy color comes from the chemical reaction that happens with the smoke on the meat itself. So that's not something that you can replicate in a crock pot. At this point, you can sauce if you would like to sauce. I'm gonna drizzle both of these with a little bit of my whiskey peach sauce. If you like a tackier sauce, you can put it back in the crock pot, back on the smoker for another 30 minutes right at the end to help it tack up. But I'm a sauce girl. Now my sauce also does not have any liquid smoke in it, so we're not gonna be getting any artificial barbecue flavor. These sauces were kind of designed to go with smoked meat, so it's not gonna add anything really, you know, that these crock pot ribs didn't get from not being in the smoker. But I do think it'll help them look really nice, add some moisture, and add some really delicious flavor to the outside. We're gonna slice up these ribs, and then it's time for a side-by-side taste test. I'm really intrigued to see if there is a difference in texture. I'm certain there will be a difference in flavor, but I'm really interested in the textural component here. They're slicing really beautifully. They look so juicy. Let's do a cross-section comparison. These are our smoked ribs. I've got juice literally dripping off of these ribs. I've got a nice, beautiful pink smoke ring, very juicy looking ribs. Okay, now these guys, also juicy, not quite drippy, but they seem to have a decent amount of moisture in them. They're more of that like pork chop color, right? Not very browned, definitely no smoke ring. Let's take a look at them side by side. Now we know how it looks and how they cut, but it's really all about how it tastes. And I think we need to taste test Todd to come on in here. Come on, Todd. Come on, Todd. Okay, let's go crock pot ribs first. We've eaten a lot of smoked ribs. I feel like we have a good comparison. When's the last time you think you ate crock pot ribs? Ever?
1996.
It's a very specific estimate. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
It's pretty good.
Flavor's good. That's a decent rib.
I'm not sad.
No. Okay, don't take another bite. Smoked rib. When's the last time you ate a smoked rib?
I mean, this morning?
It's been more recent. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Good. There's no contest, really.
Texturally, both really delicious. Both really juicy ribs. I will say the smoked rib wins for me because of the natural smoky flavor, but the texture on the outside of the rib, you get this kind of caramelized, barky, slightly crispy edge that I think makes the texture superior. Anyway, I don't think there's anything wrong. If you're crock pot ribbing it, my rubs and sauces will make them taste delicious and you will have a very juicy, delicious rib. But I think if you're gonna smoke it, I mean, it's a W for me.
That was really easy though. Like if you don't have a smoker, that's great.
Yep, you can turn out some really good ribs. Just don't call them barbecue. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. We'll see you next time.